Well, you were up to something yesterday.
Yes. I met a nurse. She works at the Danso-Man Polyclinic, Afia Danso, and she's a very interesting person. Hardy character, clearly somebody who's been through the ropes, and tough customer, really. But I think that her story is an incredible one, and we would love to talk to her. She's joined us in the studio, but before we introduce her, let's go watch my interview with her at the Danso-Man Polyclinic, and then we'll come back and have a conversation with her. We're here at the Danso-Man Polyclinic to meet a nurse, a very special lady, Afia Twumwaa Danso-Kissi. Come with me. We're going to have a conversation and find out about her life at the Danso-Man Polyclinic and how she manages all the stresses and so on of being a nurse in such a busy environment. Come with me. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, welcome to Citi TV.
Thank you. And welcome to Danso-Man Polyclinic.
And we want to go inside and have a look at what it is that you do on a daily basis.
All right.
Yeah?
Okay.
You can go. All right.
So welcome to the recovery ward.
Thank you.
The only ward at the facility.
The only ward
Yes.
in the entire facility.
Yeah. We have just one ward, the recovery ward. So we do basically about 48 hours detention.
So it's an OPD operation, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
So we detain for not more than 48 hours. If the patient is well, we will discharge him. If the patient is not well, we refer to a higher facility.
Now tell us a little bit about, let's start from the beginning. How long have you been working here?
So I was working here, I worked here for about 2 years. I went to do my degree in University of Ghana, and then I came back in 2016, started working here again till now. So basically, I've worked here for
5 years?
Yes. Yeah.
So where do you live, by the way?
I live at Sakomono, close to the Junction Mall.
Okay, so you're living in Sakomono and you're working in Danso-Man. That's a very interesting. Tell us a little bit about all that goes into the challenges of living in Sakomono and working in Danso-Man.
So basically, I have to wake up, get out of my house by 5:30 to beat the traffic because I use the main station on Gualabadi Beach Road. I have to be out of that place before 6 so that I don't usually encounter a lot of traffic. So the stress is me waking up very early, beating traffic to get here.
Like what time do you wake up typically?
Wake up. I'm not a sleeping person, so waking up, I could be up all night. But
and you will still come to work?
Yes. The main thing is I have to be here before 8. Usually I'm here by 7:20. Yeah.
Okay. So I find that in my work, I have to get up extra early and come to work, even though I'm not that far away, just to avoid being in traffic. Don't you find that sometimes the traffic catches you in places where you're still far away from work?
Because I have used the route for a very long time, and then I know how many minutes and how many hours I will spend at various traffic areas. I think now I'm used to. I'm beating the traffic anyways, so yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the stress of this work that you're doing and family life generally as a person. How do you balance work? Because I know the nurses have to be on call for long hours.
Yeah. So basically, I'm like the superintendent of this unit. Okay. So apart from me being a nurse, doing the bedside nursing, I do a lot of administrative duties as well. I do time schedules for my people. I have to make sure emergency drugs are up to date. I have to be keep up with the day-to-day activity and the running of the ward.
So we have her in studio with us. And I should also mention that she's our Heritage Caravan nurse. So if you've been on the caravan with us, then you know that she's no stranger. I'll allow you to introduce her.
Yes, so we have Afia Twumwaa Danso-Kissi. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Now you've been with the
family.
Citi family for a while, but you've not been on this show before, have you?
No.
Okay, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Now we'll dive right in. What made you decide to pursue this career in nursing?
I have no idea, but my late mom was a nurse.
Wow.
So I watched her go to work, come back. Sometimes I'll be at work with her when I'm on vacation. I used to visit her at workplace. I think I developed the interest through being with her at workplaces and then learning how nursing affected her as an individual. Yeah.
So as a child, when you envisioned being a nurse in future, what were some of the things that came to mind?
I thought nursing was a noble profession. It has always been. I thought it was nice to be a nurse. People respected nurses. Nurses were like role models for people to look up to. When I was young, I thought nursing was fun. It was fun to be a nurse.
Has nursing been everything you imagined it to be? Or what are some of the things that you've discovered that you didn't imagine would be when you were younger?
Well, now that I'm a nurse, I now know that it wasn't all rosy. It wasn't all fun. And then as I saw it during my mother's time, I think it's different now. Not the profession, but the journey of a nurse, the work of a nurse, all other aspects of nursing. I now know there are fun times, but it's not always fun. It hasn't been fun all along.
What are some challenges that the average nurse faces? I think I met you last week and I was telling you a girl that wanted to be a doctor. She was like, she changed her mind because she didn't want to spend her salary on her patients. And I'm like, you do that?
Yeah, we do that.
Why?
We do that. Sometimes people come to the ward, they are very critical. They need medications, they need other things like food, like water. Sometimes they need clothing. And they were just brought in by individuals who didn't even know them. They were picked by the roadside, or they were brought in by family members who don't really care about the person. And so when they are there on your ward and you want the person to get better, that is the whole part of being a nurse. You want the person to feel better. You want to do everything possible to make the person feel better. So when it's time for medications and the patient doesn't have, you basically have to sacrifice and buy drugs.
Wow.
When the person is not eating, but you still have to sell medications, you have to make sure the person eats, so you have to buy food. Sometimes they need water to take their medication. You have to buy for them. So
what money would you have at the end of the month if you're giving your money away?
That's a question for the gods.
So, if the nursing profession has also had a certain bad rap, as it were. People say they've had all kinds of negative experiences, in dealing with nurses. Why do you think this is the case? Because you don't seem like somebody who people will have a bad experience with.
Yeah.
But why do you think this is the case with some people where they have negative experiences? What is it that causes this?
I think basically it's what people see outside the nursing profession. Some people, like I said, when I was young, I saw nursing to be fun. I thought nurses were role models, people respected nurses. And so other people looking at nurses want to be in the profession. They might not have the passion for it, but they will not know until they are into it. And when you are in it and you can't help, like, this is what you didn't bargain for, but this is where I find myself.
Yeah.
You need to balance your life. You need to find a way to move around the profession that you have brought yourself into. So people find a whole way of venting their frustration or anger or whatever emotion they have in different ways. I think that's what accounts for some of these behaviors.
But how do nurses like you deal with that, right? Because, I mean, 2 years ago, last year, you were telling me you were even working like 2 jobs, long hours, you don't even have 6 hours of sleep. You know, where do you go to say, okay, I've given my all to people when they are their most vulnerable. Let me also get my energy back.
All right, so I never used to do that. I never used to sit back and say, let me take care of myself. So I started attending workshop about, sorry, how you have to take care of yourself as an individual. There was a workshop I attended that was entitled, Who Cares for the Carer? So after the workshop, I was enlightened on so many ways as a nurse when I'm depressed, when I'm so tired, when I'm so emotional, when I'm overwhelmed, some of the things I can do to help myself. Sleep was the very first thing, rest. But if I tell you, even when I'm off duty, I still think about work because, like I said, I manage my units. Yeah. So even when I'm there, even when I'm not there, I have to call and find out, is everything all right? Do you have everything to work with? Yeah. Are the patients okay? So sometimes, as late or as early as 3 a.m., I have to call my people at the ward, find out, is there anything you want me to, because I'm coming in the morning, is there anything you want me to do before I come in? What do you think I should bring in when I'm coming? So basically, I don't get enough rest. Naturally, I'm not a sleeping person. I said that. I don't sleep a lot. I think it's with the constant night duty. When you do a lot of night duty, your body just gets adjusted to staying awake in the night. So even when I'm not working in the night, I usually don't do a lot of sleeping.
So I have a question for you. In your submission just now, you used the phrase, "Who cares for the carer?" Can you answer that?
We never found out who cares for the carer. Because when you are sick, you still have to be in. Yeah. When you are depressed, you put your emotions aside because the person who is coming to you, now we call the people who come to us, we don't call them patients anymore, we call them clients. They are our clients. They are paying for our services. Yeah. And so you have to satisfy the clients regardless of what you are going through. Once you have accepted the position of being a nurse, whoever comes to you with whatever problem, you have to put yours aside, make sure the person feels well, the person feels better. And then later when you go home or out of the place, you can carry your burdens and take it with you.
So Dziffa, yesterday, when I went there, I saw something very interesting. There's a medical doctor who is actually in charge of the unit, and he's not well. Oh, wow. So he was on a drip. But he was in the ward on a drip, but still part of a meeting that was going on.
Seriously, yes.
You know, and I thought that was very interesting, you know, because here he needs care himself as a doctor. He's actually in the ward.
And he's still working.
But he's still working, and he's still part of the meeting.
He had actually finished reviewing the patients on the ward. Okay. When I saw him trying to position himself in the chair. So I asked what the problem is, and then he told me he was feeling dizzy. Wow. So I set a drip, a line, and then I started running some fluids just to make sure he was stable. Because he is a doctor, he can figure out what's next. Yeah. Wow. So I did my first, like the emergency attendance first at hand, and then that's when you came in.
What's your average day like? Walk us through when you wake up till when you're finally out of the hospital on your way home. Okay.
So, Dziffa, you know I'm a very active person.
Yes.
So I wake up just around 4:30. I should be out of bed. I do a little bit of yoga. It's a way of venting my stress. So I do a little bit of yoga, maybe 20 minutes stretch here and there. I do my morning personal hygiene things, bath, do whatever. I put on my uniform, leave the house, probably 15 minutes to 6.
Okay.
And then I drive all the way to Danso-Kissi Polyclinic.
From Sakomono?
Yes. And
how long is that drive alone?
When I'm not driving, it will take me probably 2 hours.
Wow.
Yes.
That's if you're not driving?
When I'm not driving, because
okay.
I'm doing church, I do like 3 cars.
2 hours.
3 cars. So I take a taxi from my house to the junction, and I'll take church or circle. And you know how cars will stop every now and then, churches will pick passengers. So I factor all that into consideration. So when I'm not driving and I'm doing church, I'll probably have to put 2 hours
into the journey.
Yeah, into my journey, because I have to get to my facility latest by 7:30. So 2 hours from 7:30, I have to leave the house by 5:30. Wow. Yeah. So when I get to my facility by 7, right from the door, I'm a supervisor by my rank. So I have to make sure from security, OPD, right into my unit, that's the recovery ward, everything, the place is kept clean. If patients are around, they are well seated, they are not frustrated. You have to reassure them, even when some of them come as early as 4, especially those when we have clinic days, hypertensive and diabetic clinic days on Thursdays and Fridays. So on those days, because there are a lot of them that comes for the clinic, they usually come in by 4 to pick their full days.
So you go there and you see a lot of people there.
Yes.
Already.
So by the time I get in at 7:30, patients are already like half packed at the OPD.
Wow.
And because some of them, they are diabetics or hypertensive and they come in that early, they are already hungry, or they are stressed out, so their BPs have started rising, or their sugars are going low. So you have to reassure them, make sure they check their blood sugar before they eat.
So as you are doing all of this, how do you deal with investing in a patient and then losing that patient?
It doesn't get better with the emotions, but you find ways of dealing with losing, especially patients that you have nursed for a very long time and try to survive, make the person survive, and then you lose the person. Life is not in our hands, but when you know that you did all you can and you still lost the patients anyway, I've tried to find so many ways of dealing with a loss of a patient, especially when you become attached to the patient. We are not supposed to, but it's human nature, we can't help it.
Yeah.
So I lost one. There was an incident. I lost a child. The child was brought in by somebody who found him by the roadside. I don't know whether it was about 5-year-old, but the boy was very beautiful. He was beautiful. I'm not saying handsome, like he was beautiful. So I had to basically feed him. Some of our nurses made contributions and we bought clothing for him. And so he was in my care for a very long time. Unfortunately, when he was brought in, he was already, I think he had been on the street for several days. So our facility don't do a lot of, a long time of detaining. So we had to chance out the patient to the children's hospital. Eventually, we lost the child.
Wow.
But I kept following, and then I was up to date as to how he was doing. But for I think about 2 or 3 days, I was overwhelmed with activity, so I didn't check up on him. On the 3rd day when I called, they said the boy had passed away, like a day ago. I was really broken down. Like it got the better part of me the whole day. Wow. And so when such things happen, I just tell the people around me, today I'm not in a good mood. Not to my patients, because whatever you are going through, the patient should not suffer for it. But I tell my colleagues, I'm not in a very good mood. Please don't step on my toes today.
Today's not today.
Because if I'm not able to vent my anger on the patients, I have to vent it on my colleagues.
Thank you so much, Afia, for being with us. And I hope that the nurses at home are also inspired, right? So if you're a kid and you want to be a nurse, this is what you should aspire to. Nurses who have dedicated their lives to make their patients or clients' lives better.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Citi Tube.
For exclusive breakfast daily content and other Citi TV programs.
Like, comment, and share with your friends.